Thank you very much. So we have three candidates for the Felix Editor. David Moore is unfortunately not available, but you can find his manifesto online at imperialcollegeunion.org/manifestos. Let's hear from Cale and Lef. Firstly, Cale.
Hi, I'm Cale. I'm a third-year computing student and the current music and games editor. I'm running for Felix Editor because I want to expand Felix's online presence through more video and interactive content. And I want to
yeah. Just leave it there. That's fine.
I'll leave it there.
Okay, and now to Lef.
Hi guys, I'm Lef, formerly a biologist. Now I'm doing a master's in science communication. In the past I've been a freelance writer. Now I'm the science editor for Felix. So I've got a lot of experience in press. I've also been around college for about 4 to 5 years. I've run the Fine Arts Society in the past. I've got a lot of experience with the community and the union. So I really love this place. I came back. I really care. As Felix Editor, I would like to make the newspaper more inclusive and also increase its independency to insulate it from any attacks on our freedom of speech. So yeah, vote for me.
Okay, thank you very much. So I've got some questions for both of you. So I'll ask you the same questions, but in different orders. So, as you just mentioned, candidates talk about union interference. What does that mean, and how will you stay independent, fair and balanced? So let's start with Lef.
So in my experience as a science editor, being around the editor-in-chief, I've seen a lot of interference by the union telling us what we can and cannot run, the union having a very interesting opinion on what is considered politically correct, racist, sexist, and this is all fair, I suppose, but instead of having a very strong harassment, I would rather us maintaining our independence instead of being threatened of, being shut down, us being more independent and able to indeed print whatever we want without fearing any repercussions. I mean, we are the student voice. We should be able to start a dialogue rather than publish already with limitations on what we can and cannot talk about.
Okay. Do you know why sometimes the union might impose such limitations? Can you expand on that? Why do you think it is?
Well, I do think that a lot of the people in the union have their own agendas, and also they do get a lot of strong recommendations from the people in charge and college. Having said that, we are students. We are entitled to express our opinion, and this is really in the way the UK higher education system is structured. Having a free press is the only way we can really affect the world and our situation and our education. So, yes.
Okay, so the same question to Cale.
I think it's a difficult balance because, obviously, I think everyone should have the freedom to say whatever they want, but at the same time, we have union policies in place to stop bullying, to stop harassment, to stop things like sexism. So, obviously, there was the recent issue with the RAGMAG, and the union made a decision on that that a lot of students disagreed with. But they justified that through the union policy that said that that was unacceptable, because it was to other students. I don't think we should be able to harass other students in the paper, but I think with the case with the RAGMAG, we were told not to print that, and we should have been able to print that because, at the end of the day, we didn't print the offending article, and the Daily Mail did end up printing it. So,
okay. So can I ask, how well do you understand the law around media harassment and right to reply? Would you consider following any other things that haven't been done before, like getting an external advisor in, things like that?
No, I think the idea of an external advisor is really good. As editor, I might have certain, political allegiances, and I need someone as well to ensure that I don't print something that's entirely subjective. If we're reporting news, it needs to be as objective as possible. So if we could do something like that, I think that would be a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, and Lef, how do you understand the law and the right to reply, and what do you think of having someone else look at the paper or an external advisor?
I'm relatively familiar with it. I'm doing a science communication master's at the moment, and we did have quite some talks about it, and we had examples from media and writers and newspapers have gotten in trouble because of slander, because of harassment, and it's a very complicated law, and sometimes it does end up with going to court. So I think it's quite impossible to expect from students or someone, the Felix Editor, who has had a very limited training, to know the law. So I also agree that an external advisor is a great idea.
Why? So do you not think that the union offering advice and things, why is that different to paying for an external advisor? If you're willing to listen to someone else when you're not willing to have the union interfere, why is that different?
Obviously, we're reporting on the union, so if we put something in the paper that they disagree with, which is maybe criticising them, they will have some issue with that, and we should be able to report on that without them telling us we can't. So for someone external, they won't have those interests in the union.
Is there not a policy which already says that the union can't stop you from criticising the Felix policy? I believe it says that already.
Criticising the Felix policy?
No, the Felix policy of the union, of the trustee board, already says that the union can't stop Felix from publishing something that criticises the union. Where does that fail, do you think?
I personally think that although this is indeed the case, there has been quite a lot of intimidation. So maybe the union can't actively do much, but they certainly do sound like they can, and that makes us feel like we're in a precarious position. We don't have the financial independency in case they do follow through with a threat of shutting us down to say we're going to continue regardless, because all our ad revenue now goes through the union and we get a very set budget.
Okay. So with newspapers declining globally, where do you think Felix's future lies? So we go to Lef first.
Well, I think the statement of newspapers declining globally is...
Or newsprint, I should probably say. Newspapers.
Both correct and incorrect.
Okay.
Because we've got, on one hand, major newspapers downsizing their press departments, but at the same time we have a massive kind of growth of independent publication, with the printer making it so easy for you to print something and distribute it. Personally, I think that it's not the use of paper to distribute your material that is the problem, but it is the kind of denial of society progressing. So we don't really understand how people react with objects because everything is so digitalized. I don't think that we should stop using newspapers. I think people have a real relationship with the object. I think it's something special about taking a newspaper, flipping through it, and leaving it on a bench for someone else to read. So that's my stance on it.
Okay, Cale, how do you see the future of Felix?
I agree with Lef that we should keep the print because it's kind of like creates more of a sense of community, I guess, on the campus, that it's in all these distribution points. But as we've seen with the Independent going online only, I think we do need to embrace that more. And I've said in my manifesto that we need to try and expand our digital presence through video, through more interactive content, through things, not copying BuzzFeed, but with similar things to that engage users, bring them to the site, that are fun, and then they can read the serious stuff. We need to expand our digital presence because not enough people are reading it online. And if we can, if you're going to write something for the university paper, you want as many people to read it as possible.
How would that work with things like ICTV also producing video content? How would that work?
We could work with ICTV to create that content.
Let's do a joint. Okay. If you could add one section and remove one section, which ones would it be? So start with Cale this time. Who's going to get axed?
I guess I would remove the clubs and societies section.
Why is that?
Because I think at the moment too many people write pieces for that section, and all they do is advertise their clubs and societies, and I think there are more effective ways of doing that, because I don't think people actually read those pieces. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think they do. And I think it would be easier just to have, you could advertise for free a page or two, clubs could advertise there, and then if a club actually wants to provide content that isn't just an advert, then they can do that in the features section, which we already have.
Okay, and what would you create? If you were to
Well, what would I create?
get rid of that section, what would you?
That's a hard one.
I suppose you've already said your BuzzFeed kind of style thing. So
yeah, not hangman, but almost like a listicle style thing that engages students in an interesting way.
Okay. And Lef, what would you axe and what would you create?
This is a very difficult decision because I'm all for diversity and diversifying the product and giving as many people as many options to write about. So if I had to axe something, I would axe the horoscopes because no one cares. Also, I don't like horoscopes. I think they're stupid. But that would also allow for other sections to remain
screaming
there.
from next door.
I would add potentially a section dedicated to postgraduate students because I think Felix has a bit of an issue reaching out to people. I think a lot of people sometimes don't even realize what Felix does or who contributors are or who the editors are, especially postgraduates. A lot of them are here for a year with all the masters that are on offer. And they honestly don't know what it's about, and they don't understand that they have the ability to voice their thoughts, their opinions. I remember a few years back, we had this section called Confessions of a PhD Student or something, and I thought it was really interesting. And now I'm actually quite disappointed that there's not more postgraduate submissions.
Okay, thank you very much. So in one sentence, and then I'm going to ask you a horrific question which has just been submitted by a previous Felix editor, who shall remain nameless but is next door. But first, in one sentence, what should Felix provide to its readers and to Imperial? One sentence. So let's start with Cale.
It should provide the news and the information that they can then use to enact change on a union level and on a college level.
Okay, thank you. Lef?
I think above all, it should provide a strong, independent, loud voice for them to express their opinions and their thoughts and feel safe while they're doing that.
Okay, thank you very much. So the final question comes from the Felix editor from 2013, I believe, Philippa. She would like you to spell a hard word. How do you... Anyone like to have a go?
I think it's cheating because I'm a biologist and I've done quite a lot of taxonomy.
On that.